Are we live? We are live.
Yes,
What up, our
we
friends,
are
our
live.
heroes, our adventurers? We are back on the Exploring the Hero's Journey show. I am here. My name is Max Mendoza, your co-host. I'm a modern explorer, inspirational storyteller, and community curator. Currently traveling and adventuring on my hero's journey in Milan, Italy. And back in America, we have our other co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jack Peterson. I'm a confidence coach from highlyconsciousman.com. And yeah, we're just here to have a good time and talk about the hero's journey, living an awesome life without limits. And so today we'll be discussing the belly of the whale portion of the hero's journey.
Totally.
And a little description of this.
Here, before we get into that, let's do a quick recap of where we are on the hero's journey
Yeah.
for those who have not been listening. I think I'm good without my headphones. Um, so, um, the hero's journey, just as a summary for those who may be joining us for the first time, is a concept developed by Joseph Campbell that describes essentially the journey that every hero, whether it be a story figure, a religious figure, or a true leader in our modern world or prehistoric world, has experienced to experience their adventure of life. And essentially what he did is he found a synopsis amongst all the heroes that they have journeyed onto. And it's a three-step process broken into a few other ones. The three steps are A, the departure, B, the initiation, and C, the return. We're currently on the last step of the departure, which is the belly of the whale, Jack just said. So the previous steps has been one, the call to adventure, which is this point when you are in an ordinary world and you feel compelled calling to venture into something else, to experience your own call to adventure. Two is the refusal of the call. This is the point where the hero maybe has some resistance, and even though you have this deep calling inside of you, for whatever reason you're afraid to move forward to refuse that calling. Three is a supernatural aid, and this is a point where once the hero is committed to go on their quest, whether consciously or consciously, some magical helpers, whether it be mentors, resources, maps, or just extraordinary experiences come to guide that hero. Then our last show was on the crossing of the first threshold. And as me and Jack will talk about, we've definitely crossed into our thresholds in our own journeys, and maybe you find yourself there. And this is the point where you've actually taken yourself beyond the part of the world that you know in, and you've ventured into this new realm. And before we dive in, again, the hero's journey is something that we cycle upon many times in our lives. Maybe going to college was the first hero's journey, and getting your first job after college is another one. Maybe exploring love and relationships or starting your own business. Each of those can be their own cycles of a hero's journey. Though the important thing to know is that we will experience these steps along the way, and when you're aware of them, it can give you the strength to move forward through them. And I think this next step that Jack is about to more deeply introduce may resonate with a lot of us when we decide to move into our hero's journey. We take that leap of faith, and then we find ourselves in it. So this is a point where you are in it, and you're like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, this is when it gets real, and definitely a little scary. So the portion we'll be talking about today is the belly of the whale, and just a little description about it. The belly of the whale represents the final separation from the hero's known world and self. It is sometimes described as the person's lowest point, but it is actually the point when the person is between or transitioning between worlds and selves. The separation has been made, or is being made, or being fully recognized between the old world and old self, and the potential for a new world and new self. The experiences that will shape the new world and self will begin shortly, or may be beginning with this experience, which is often symbolized by something dark, unknown, and frightening. By entertaining this stage, the person shows their willingness to undergo a metamorphosis, to die to him or herself.
Mm.
Let that sink in. Yeah. So yeah, that makes me think about what I'm going through right now, actually, which is definitely a belly of the whale journey that I am in the process of. Um, so recently, I quit my job, as you may know, Max, and I graduated college a few years ago, and I had an engineering job, kind of taking, the quote unquote normal path, or the path that I was kind of raised to do, and how my parents raised me and everything. And eventually I realized that I had a bunch of other passions um, than the work I was doing at my engineering job, and I felt like I wasn't able to express all of this, creativity I had, and the passion to help guys become better men with the coaching I've been doing. And I was doing that a lot on the side. I built my website in my free time outside of my work as an engineer. I started my website more than a year ago, so I was doing that for a while on the side. But it eventually got to a point where going into work was more and more of a drag, and it just killed my energy more and more. And I felt more and more of a contrast between the things I was passionate about, writing articles on my website, coaching men, and just kind of expressing my creativity in comparison to the work I was doing at my job. So it was kind of a process, but it got more and more of a drag to go into work until it just got to a point where I knew it that I just couldn't work there anymore. Or else, I'd probably end up getting fired just because I wasn't committed to the work there anymore. So it was kind of a process, and I've had some help from my mentor, kind of working through this, like when do I feel fully aligned with like leaving my job? And one day it just felt right. I was just like, okay, I got to do this. So talked to my boss, and told him that I'd like to give him 2 weeks notice, and I left my job about a week and a half ago. So ever since then, it's been a very big transition for me. I feel like a new person almost, and like it said in the description of the belly of the whale, it's like it feels like a new world for me, almost like a new reality in a way. Just because there's so much like openness in front of me now. Like I don't have the set schedule, every week, the 9 to 5 job, and I've been working a lot on my relationship with money. Actually, been working on that with my coach Raul. We get on a call every week, and we talk about what I'm going through and what I need help with. So we've been talking a lot about money, and I've been facing a lot of insecurities that have been coming up ever since I quit my job, of really worrying about like how am I going to provide for myself. I have kind of a runway of savings right now, but there's still in the back of my mind like am I going to be able to provide for myself? Being like a self-employed entrepreneur, am I going to be able to figure out how to make ends meet? So a lot of fears have been coming up, a lot of anxiety, not a tremendous amount, but I've been facing that, and so really feeling that drive that really comes from a place of fear, like, oh, I gotta start doing stuff, I gotta get busy now, which really I have done for most of my life, is just really just work hard, put in a lot of effort, just kind of get on the grindstone. But what I've been working on, which has taken a lot of work, is
let's let it out.
Really just being okay, basically eliminating all of those anxieties that come up. So, and getting through all of them, entirely, like transcending all of the fears that I have about money, basically.
Mm.
And really, so that I've had to face like all of, I've had to face the, like the first fear of, oh, am I going to be able to, pay rent? How am I going to do that? Getting past that fear, then another fear that will come up is like, okay, what if I go completely broke? Like, what do I do then? And what if I end up as like a homeless dude, like on the sidewalk or something?
Yeah.
um, like worst case scenario. And really, I've actually been doing like a lot of call me crazy, but a lot of like meditation on that, and actually like visualizing that, and like what like is that really like the worst thing possible? And I've talked to some friends about this. Uh, the mind seems to um, any fear we have that comes up, our mind seems to consider that death, basically. So we'll do anything we can. If we're not like really conscious about it, we'll do anything we can to avoid it. So in this example, me getting on the grindstone, putting like maybe getting another job or something to face, to get away from that fear of like, oh, I'm gonna, what if I go broke? Then I'm gonna die. The mind thinks of that as death. But if you go really, deeply into it more and more, it's not death. Like worst case scenario, if I go broke or whatever, I, I know I'll be fine. Like I have a bunch of friends, I have a bunch of connections. Or worst case scenario, I could, go back home. Or
Which is never that bad of a situation.
right. And that could be a great. I mean, maybe that's if that happens hypothetically. Maybe maybe something amazing, great would come from that. Maybe I would spend 2 weeks at home and come up with some brilliant idea, then start pursuing that, and then after that, I start this amazing business or something.
Yeah. And
So
relating to where you're at, or go ahead if you
yeah,
need to finish something.
no, that was it.
Cool. Yeah, relating with where you're at, it's pretty beautiful how we both find ourselves so intimately in this part of our journey. That was my couch surfing host who just walked by in the mirror as you saw that. As I'm currently literally in the exact point of the belly of the whale. I crossed the first threshold a couple days ago, and I like how we're able to just kind of relate with each other, even though we're in our own perceived experience of it. But
right.
hey. So with myself, only a couple of days ago, I ventured from America and into Europe, and the story of how that manifested is something completely different. Though it has felt like, oh, like I'm literally in another world right now where people speak a different language that it's hard for me to like connect with and embrace. Can say hi to a former Milan friend here. And I'm in Milan, Italy, as of 2 days ago. And
beautiful.
I've done a couple of these cycles of Hero's Journey where like I don't have as much fear. I'm willing to be more courageous in that space. Though I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that. Like I'm like, okay, like this is my new edge, and it's always scary when we're at our edge because we're like, from this point forward, it's a sense of unknown.
Yeah.
And the unknown is scary, and it really is the mind that begins to imagine and in many ways personify these ideas of what can go wrong or what can go right.
Right.
And when we put ourselves into these experiences of shaping ourselves or our world, whether it be physical as I am, or almost in what your role in life is as you are, of course it's the unknown is frightening. It's like any journey. It's like I'm not sure what's going to happen next. It's a matter of accepting that. Once you accept that, it's like, okay, I have no fucking clue what's going to happen next. now where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And within myself, I'm in Europe for a month plus, and I'm like, the way I have it lined up right now, I'm just writing it, and at some point,
Uh,
I am almost open to a magical possibility of happening that will allow me to continue serving my purpose. And my fear, I'm not as afraid of running out of money. Like from my standpoint, it's like
hmm.
I budgeted what I have,
Hmm.
and what I budgeted is what I have. So,
Literally.
so at the end of these 5 weeks, I'm gonna go back to America, and granted, I
Mhm.
have additional income streams that should be coming in. Though in reality, that's not for sure. So I'll go
Yeah.
back, and something's gonna happen between now and then. But when we test that edge, it's like we allow you almost force yourself to act. That's the exciting thing about it. And I know no one wants to put themselves in this
Mm.
situation, but it's like it's the burning of the boats. Not that I'm a fan of the
Yeah.
conquistadors' actions upon the Native Americans, but the concept of it is that you burn your boat, that you have no possibility but to succeed, whatever that means to you, or to die. And more often than not, the human nature doesn't want to die. So because we
Funny
don't,
how that works.
yeah. So because those are our two options, it makes you in a position to really strive to breathe, to survive.
Yeah.
And ideally, through that act of need almost to survive, it motivates you to thrive. Um,
Mm.
once you start moving forward. So within myself, it's like, hey, like I'm surrendering and embracing this journey, allowing the people that I meet along the way. I just had an incredible conversation with my couch surfing host, just a few minutes ago, and both of our realities were able to expand through this because
Mm.
I'm in a completely unknown world. Like I am in a place where the only option is to grow or to die. So it really allows ourselves to grow at an extraordinary rate. Um, and the biggest thing I feel, part of the belly of the whale, like the last sentence of it is by entering this stage, the person shows their willingness to undergo a metamorphosis, to die to him or herself.
Yeah.
So when we're in this stage, it's almost like we're so committed on our quest that at this point we're like, I'm willing to undergo what is next. And the next part of the departure, at this point, we're at that final edge of the departure. And some people might retreat when you're in the belly of the whale.
Oh
Some
yeah.
people literally might not be able to take it and may die.
Yeah.
Or the fear of death may be so strong that we choose to retreat. But the next step is the initiation. And without getting into all the details of it, the essential part of the initiation is a series of trials and tests. It's the road of trials. And the thing to be aware of is that these tasks or ordeals or challenges, you're not going to succeed in all of them. And you kind of have to be okay with that. There will be defeat. As I
Mm.
was recently really reading by Paulo Coelho there will be defeat, but it's only when you choose to not continue moving forward, that is failure. But if you allow yourself to be met potentially by defeat and still move forward, then eventually you're going to get to your path. So
Right.
in this space, I think the interesting thing of the belly of the whale is we're still afraid of being eaten up. Um,
Yep.
you're in that well, and you're like,
Dying.
you're so afraid of not coming to the surface.
Right.
But it's a shedding of the skin. It's like the caterpillar. The caterpillar could be so afraid that it won't become a butterfly that it becomes not willing to go in the cocoon. But you have to go in that cocoon saying, like, the belly of the whale is really, you're in that place of you're in the cocoon. You've put yourself into an unknown and you're about to just launch open. You just have to have faith, as I like to call it, confidence, as many people call it, which I think go hand in hand, in my opinion. You have to have faith and confidence that you are strong enough to come forward from this. And
Mm.
when you have that, you allow yourself to really embrace the space that you're in, focusing on what's the next step. And in this stage, we're about to face some trials, we're about to face some challenges, but don't be afraid of those. Don't be afraid that the challenge is going to come and you're going to die. Say, bring it.
Yeah. And I feel like I put myself in this situation really because I love adventure. You know, I love going out into the unknown. I always have ever since I was a kid. You know, with friends, we'd go out on trails and just like explore and like walk down these like little rivers, and yeah, just really just be out and not knowing what's ahead, but just exploring. And um, kind of ever since I got into school and then working with a job and stuff, everything was planned. Um, so I think in a sense I lost a good part of that adventurous spirit in me. Um, but that's awakening now again, and that's why I love entrepreneurship and creating and doing what I love, and traveling and meeting new people, but really not necessarily having any plans. For example, recently, as you know, I just bought a ticket to Los Angeles, one-way ticket, and I'm going there to hang out with my coach and some other friends I have there. And that was kind of a big step for me. I was told about this really awesome get together that's going to be organized on the 28th, and
Awesome.
right after I heard that, my friend Raul told me I should come down, and I bought my ticket right then. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's have a little adventure here. Whereas kind of my past self, maybe a year or so ago, I would have really pondered on it, like for a few days, and like, wow, this is a big decision, like going to another city. But yeah, this time I'm just following that adventurous spirit and just going with it, knowing that everything will turn out okay, that I will figure out a place to stay. I'll figure out all the details when they need to be figured out, because that's natural in us. Like we were meant to survive, and that's in our DNA. Like we don't need to try. Well, we don't need to plan everything out in the future, which doesn't even exist, because the only thing that exists is what's here and now. We don't have to plan everything out in order to be safe. Really, just what we're doing in every moment. We have all the tools within us right now to survive and thrive in the world. That's why there's 8 billion people on the planet now. I mean, we're strong. We're very strong. Beings, and yeah, we have all the tools that we need right now.
Yeah, so I think, as we end this call, I think a lot of us can relate to the stories that we share,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good to hopefully know that wherever it is that you are, that you're not alone in experiencing this step. Let's maybe take a moment just to talk about what are some ways to really, as I like to use the word, embrace this step of the hero's journey. I think in the belly of the whale, it's fear is rampant. You had a
Yeah.
fear to cross the threshold, but a supernatural aid came in that just said, you know what, go for it. So you did. You are.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be moving to a new city. It can be starting a new job. You're in it now, and maybe there is a sense of excitement. Of course there is. Are you kidding me? I'm in fucking Europe. I'm stoked. Are you kidding me, Jack? Like, you don't have to go to your 9 to 5 job. You have an immense amount of free time and new possibility and a form of expressing your creativity. How exciting is that?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's tremendously exciting. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it goes back and forth. Like, I don't want to tell everyone on this, who's watching this, to quit your job right now and just go like, woo, let's party.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's not like, sell your car and buy a ticket to Europe for, you
yeah,
know, a month plus. No, it's wherever you are, something brought you on this path, whatever it is for you.
right.
We experience this in different ways. Maybe you're just starting out into an intense relationship. Maybe you're picking up a hobby that you've always wanted to pick up. Whatever it is for you.
Yeah,
I think we can all relate to this, but the idea is, in my mind, the fear is a possibility, just as the
right.
excitement is a possibility. It's really where our attention goes. And I think, in this
Yes.
space of you took the leap of faith, stop looking back. You can't look back. I mean, that's not an option for me right now.
Right.
It's only forward. And as you look forward, look upward. Don't look downward as well. Watch where you're stepping. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
though focus on what is possible. And I think it's so important at this stage. And this is a reminder for myself as well to remember why we took that leap of faith. Why is it that you decided to leave your job? Why is it you decided to move to a new city? Why is it you decided to start this new job? Why is it that you decided to venture into this adventure, literally, for me, and as this journey expresses, and remind yourself of what was so exciting that made you have the courage to do that. For me, it's to meet people, it's to make a difference, it's to make an impact and to be impacted, to grow and to serve. And when I focus on that, I'm not like, oh my God, I don't know this language. Oh my God, like I'm scared I'm gonna run out of money. It's like, no, let's go do what I came here to do, and start doing that, and focus on the possibility of, again, we talked about this in one of the earlier calls. What's the best that can happen?
Right.
Literally, ask yourself, write down. This is the point where you should have already, maybe if you had been listening to these calls before, or as a reminder for ourselves, looked at what's the best that can happen. Look at that, and
Right.
this is where you start reminding yourself. This is where you check in on that possibility. And I think the biggest thing, as a final reminder, is fear is excitement without the breath. So I've been reminding myself that I need to run, I need to meditate, I need to keep my fundamentals down, because we're in a world of unknown, whatever that is for you. So it's important to stay connected to what is known, what is grounding, so you will have the force to continue moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny. I was just thinking earlier how our mind, when we go out into the unknown, it naturally focuses on all the fear that comes up, and that's our survival instinct, we don't want to die, so those fears, keep us going forward and like, oh, that's dangerous over there, let's go this way. But a lot of it is irrational, and a lot of it is conditioning that we've learned in our society. So it's important to kind of reflect on it and explore it. Like, where are these fears coming from? Why am I afraid of this? Where's that coming from? Our natural state is not fear. It is love. And so when fears come up, and we're focusing on it a lot, that is a good indication that there's a part of yourself that you want to explore. There's a part that's been blocked, and you want to open that up. You want to, because ultimately we want to feel free, and fears are kind of what block us and what kind of keep us in a little box and keep us safe, really. But if you're not used to journeying out into the unknown, then all sorts of fears and blocks and resistance are going to come up, and you're either going to have to face those and transcend it, or retreat back to your comfort zone. But that's not where growth is. And as you and I know, growth is life, really, and that's why I love. I tend to be attracted to things that I'm afraid of, because I'm like, oh, what's that? Like, why am I afraid of that?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of work on getting through that.
Nice.
Because it feels amazing to face it and get to the other side.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to end it, is as we're in the belly of the whale, and we're going to go into the next step on the next call. And just as a reminder, we are back on for this year in 2014. We took a bit of a space, just kind of recenter amongst ourselves. But we're going to continue this bi-weekly. There's at least 15 more steps between the initiation and the return. So we will have some excitement to continue on capturing what the journey is as a metaphorical space, and also sharing what it is real for us. The next step is a series of road and trials. So it's important, if you really want to get the most out of this, as Jack just said, look for those opportunities of growth, and more often than not, it's what you're most afraid of doing that will give you the greatest result, the greatest opportunity to expand yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, as I'm sure for you, Jack, as I'm sure for everyone else who is in this space, you decided to venture out because you wanted to expand yourself. You wanted to expand your life, your possibility. So remember, if that is the goal, look for those opportunities, and they're all around you. You're seeking them innately. So don't run from them. Run towards them. And I think as we're in the belly of the whale, we're almost afraid of being, if you think of it metaphorically, you're afraid of being eaten up. So you're afraid of being bitten, but you're already in it. You can get swallowed, and you can choose to move through the teeth, you're afraid of being bitten, but you got to move through that space. As you move through that, you'll end up in some new island where the adventure will just continue, but at least you'll be out of that space of almost stuckness of, you're in that cocoon, so you need to get out and start flapping your wings. And I think, at least speaking with myself, even though I just got here, maybe for yourself, even though you just left your job, you can be in a state of like, oh my God, but it's like, start moving, get out of that whale and start on the road of trials. And that's as simple as this step is, but it can feel heavy. But once you get out, it's still not easy. The fun starts happening. So real simply, get out of the whale's mouth. You're not going to get eaten up. If you are, you're already going to get swallowed. Get out of there and start having some fun.
Mm-hmm. Fun's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So are we going to wrap it up about now?
Yeah. I think we're pretty good. So again, as a reminder, let's look at the calendar. It's like midnight now, and should be going to sleep. It's a bit of a time difference. The next one will be on March 4th. Or no, sorry. Again, right now it's Tuesday here. Monday, March 3rd at what are the times again? 5 p.m. Central.
Wait, we're not going to do it. No, we're not going to do it next week.
Yeah, no, it's bi-weekly. Remember?
Oh, we're doing it bi-weekly.
That's what we decided.
All right.
I know you're like, I want to get into it. I want to keep going. I feel the same way.
This is good. I like this.
But I think the bi-weekly is good. So we'll stick to what we chose to do. So it's
I like that.
March 3rd, Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for the friends that I'm making along the way on this journey, that is midnight. Whatever Milan, whatever Italian standard time is.
How do you say that in Italian?
Italiano? I don't say.
I had to ask that.
I will say grazie, which is thank you, and arrivederci. You're welcome for everyone who's listening. And salute de Milan.
And whoever wants to, reach out to us, ask us any questions about your own hero's journey. Max and I, we love getting in contact with new people. That's why we're putting this show out there. We love to hear from, our audience, people who are watching this show or following our blogs, and reach out to us. Send us a Facebook message. I'm on Facebook, Jack Peterson. You can find me on there. Max Mendoza's on there.
Yeah, and I forgot to give my link, but it's www.alifetothemax.com, and it's abundant living for the modern explorer. So cheers to everyone for having the courage to explore. Jack, this is, we're rifting amongst ourselves and opening that up with others. Congratulations to yourself for having the courage to venture into your own journey. What reflections of it? So as I say that to you, I say it to myself. And, the fun happens on the other side of the fear.
Oh, yeah.
So that takes
That's where confidence. All the juice is at.
Yeah, and it just takes a little bit of confidence and a little bit of faith, or a whole lot of confidence and a whole lot of faith.
Yeah, depending on what fear it is.
Sweet. Any closing words?
That's about it, man. It's a good show.
Yeah. Let's have some fun. That's what it's about.
Yeah, live life to the max.
And do it confidently.
Yeah.
And highly consciously.
Yes.
Rock on.
There it is.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Salute.